Okay, welcome to the December 5th, 2024 Policy Committee meeting. And our first item up is Policy 5450.1, Notification of Sex Offenders. And does anybody have any comments on that? Go ahead, Mr. Bugarelli.
Yeah, so we've already gone through this a few times. You know, it wasn't that long ago that we actually went through this. We had questions about whether this actually had ever happened, and we were given an answer that, from Mr. Forget when he was here, that he only had one occurrence in 3 years, and we accommodated via video. And if I understand correctly in all these conversations, and Margot can maybe comment, are we consistent with the state policy? Why do we feel the need to change it? Especially since we have discussed this and we have voted on this in the past with the current board that's on right now, I think. Well, Ms. Bello was on the board.
I think it was before that. I think it was when Mr. Stridar and Ms. Boulay were on.
I remember that Christine was on and we discussed this.
Oh, it might have been.
There was a meeting where the superintendent was not present and Ed had to take care of the meeting, and we were still on that side of the room. And I don't think it was at a board meeting? The full board was on,
okay.
But it was in that interim time when we only brought, I guess it was you, Victoria, and
Fred.
Yes, Fred. That's what I recall.
Yes, I wasn't at that meeting, but I know that it was discussed a year before that, and that's when the policy was amended.
So we did discuss it, but we were advised that in order to change anything about it, it had to come to policy. So that's why I specifically did want to look at this. So when it was suggested, there's certain things in there where the verbiage didn't tell me as a parent that it was never going to be considered. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, you can't say it never will be considered because there are parts of the law and there might be court orders that require you to allow somebody to come onto the premises, but you can make the rules and regulations. Yeah, there are here.
So the way that it's written now, is that advisable by the attorney that it has that verbiage and we strike out the special circumstance?
I don't care if you strike out the special circumstance as long, and I put it into a form which was, that's not the form that I did. I made it more in a policy form.
Yeah, I liked yours.
Well, because that's more in the form of a policy. It's not in the form of just bullets. Yeah. But I also added something today, and I sent it around that says, except as required by law, because you can't
say no.
You can't say no if it's required by law. However, you have some control over other circumstances, and you're saying that this is what you're going to do, unless it's required by law that you do something else. You also can't have a zero tolerance policy because you can never say that there won't be a parole. First of all, they can come and vote. You can't tell them they can't come on property and vote. Okay. You can have a special entrance for them to go through, which is different. But so you don't want to have a policy that's inherently illegal.
Okay. Right, obviously. Okay. So
does that make sense to you?
Makes sense to me, yeah.
I like your policy that you wrote, and then just add in except as required by law.
Yeah, I added that at the beginning. I think I added that at the, I don't know, I had.
This I printed last night.
Oh,
so,
okay, yeah,
yes.
I sent it this morning, sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So this one's good. That's all we need.
Here I am.
So point of order, so we're all clear. I think we should read what Margot's talking about.
Oh.
So we're all on the same page. For the most part, the shalls turned into wills that are currently on the screen.
We've been doing that with all policies.
Margot added under the third paragraph, in order to ensure that parents, guardians who are registered sex offenders have the ability to participate in their child's or children's education, and that the students who are registered sex offenders receive an education until the age of 21 or receipt of a high school diploma, the following will apply. We have struck out zero tolerance. And then on that last bullet point, where it starts under no circumstances, it now says, unless required by law, under no circumstances, and then the rest of the sentence stays, and then all the special circumstances have been removed.
Are we all good on this one?
We vote.
Okay.
Do you have to vote?
You have to decide whether or not, yes, you have to basically say, yes, this should go forward for a first reading on the next agenda, or, or not, or.
Okay. So we're going to move that forward.
You have to vote. You have to
Yes.
vote, so you have to call the vote.
Okay, so
It's not as formal as that.
no, it's just a consensus.
Okay,
Okay.
yes.
So we're all
Because
good.
it's a recommendation, you're not.
Instilling it.
Yeah, you should just go around the room and say yes, no.
Oh, okay, okay.
If it goes to first reading, you don't.
Right?
No.
Victoria?
Yes.
Chris? Yes. Okay, so move that forward. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Next up is school board access to information and reports, policy 2105. Okay. Thoughts, Victoria?
I'd like to defer to the attorneys because literally up until now, we were discussing what we clearly were trying to say. So I'm going to give it to.
Right, but I don't think that what you were trying to say is really what you meant. It sounded, after reading all of the emails and the last one, it's a communications issue that you want the Board of Education members to know what's going on in the schools when there's a significant event that's occurring. That's what I gather from it. So it could be that there's a bomb scare, that there's a threat of violence. It might be that there's destruction of property, arson, or somebody is seriously injured or something like that. But that's how I read it, and so I don't think I would use the language here. And I didn't have time to change it because I only realized what you meant right before I left. So if you give me authority, I will work on a different paragraph to go in.
That's perfect. Okay.
Yeah, that was my concern with the way it was written, too. When you use the word investigation, investigation is as simple as me asking a student's name.
Yes.
And that could be for anything. You know what I mean? So you can't say, well, you know what I mean. Well, you know what I mean doesn't work for policy. So it has to be very, very, what are we actually talking about? At what level of violation or alleged violation are we talking about that we need this 24-hour notice? And this 24-hour notice is, are we giving the executive team, the administration, leeway to really find out what they have? Not just a kid said he saw another kid push a kid down the stairs. We need to know right now?
I don't think
Or-
that that's really what it's for. I think it's for the more significant events.
Well-
Because you have these things happening every day, all the time.
Felonious injury to a child being pushed down the steps, willfully is a serious thing.
Well,
You know
that
what I'm
is.
saying? So,
However, something like that, if somebody gets hurt, yes. Seriously hurt, yes. But I think that
this needs to be massaged before,
yes, for the kinds of things that we're talking about, where I think that it's important that the board receive notice before the rest of the community knows.
So could this, I absolutely agree. Could this get massaged then and just go out for first reading rather than action at the next agenda setting because we have not seen a final product yet?
I'll be happy to work on it and send it to the committee members if you want to just look at it that way, or you can, push it to the next meeting. It's up to you.
Well, what's a time frame in you being able to do that? Because we're meeting today, and we're not going to meet again before Tuesday.
That's true.
And so, like I said, I would have no
Work on it
problem,
tomorrow or the weekend.
or we could wait till the next policy meeting in January. But we've done that before, to where on the floor, we've adjusted some items,
Of course.
and we've
Yeah, but
all
I don't want
agreed
this
to
going
it.
out like in this form. So
agreed.
let me try to get it out tomorrow to the committee, and you can say yay or nay at that point.
Can we say yay or nay at that point via email like that? Matthew?
Or you're just,
I could just put it up for discussion then, and,
Right.
you know, all right?
That's fine. As long as we're not pressuring to, this is for action, you know what I mean? No, I'd rather have for discussion because we don't see a final version here. Thank you.
Excellent.
but it starts
order.
getting you to where you need
So
to
this
go.
is not going up for a first read at the next meeting. This is just going to be a point of discussion as a policy item?
I think
It's,
Margot's going to revise it, give us the information, and then we're going to put it on for discussion as a first read type of situation. But then we would have to vote for action, I'm assuming, after we get the consensus.
You don't
Yeah,
take action on a first read.
yeah, I said, discussion, I mean first read, but if there's an issue with that verbiage or we can't do it like that,
Still
then
be a
absolutely.
discussion not being on first read, so.
correct, so that's what I'm trying to figure out. Are we going to have a first read, so then at the next meeting, if you want to, you're having a second read and an adoption, or are you just doing a discussion at this next meeting on 2105?
I would think the first one, yeah, the former.
Yeah, the first thing you said.
Which is just a discussion.
And a possible vote.
It would be discussion, and then,
Second and adopt.
yes, the second time we see it, we would,
So 2105 is up for a first reading at
Right.
the next meeting. Got it.
And I'll get the revised language to you tomorrow so that you can at least look at it and say it's okay, or if it's not, and if it's not okay, it doesn't go on for a first reading.
Thank you.
Next up is Policy 2160, School District Officer and Employee Code of Conduct.
Ethics. And that was just one small item.
Can you just scroll down a little bit to the bottom of the page?
Eve, it's on page 6 of 7.
All right,
Thank you.
Scroll to the top of that page, Eve,
There it is.
right there.
okay, that was just one minor change on that. Any, Ray?
So last year, with the prior board, it was 90 days, we changed it to 1 year. And now we're upping it to 3 years. I just don't really see the real benefit in going, we already raised it to a year, so I don't really see the benefit in going to 3 years. I don't know what that's really doing for us.
Victoria?
I think if you serve for 3 years at your term, you should have to wait 3 years to work in the district. That's just my opinion.
So people that continue to get elected have to serve, wait longer if they did 9 years, if they did, 12 years?
The standard is 3 years for a seat. So I know that this election was a special circumstance because there was vacancies of seats we were filling. But a normal sitting member sits for 3 years, and I believe that should reflect how long they have to wait to be paid by this district.
Margot, is that consistent with other districts? Yeah, if you could put on your mic. What is the standard you've seen in other districts?
Margot, please, your mic.
I'm
Not used to this room, I'm sorry.
Oh, not for a while, anyway. These are very nice, though. Better than the old ones. In most districts, there is no time limit, or there's a short time limit, like the 90 days. It's uncommon to have a longer period of time.
You just gotta do a vote for the full board.
So are we going to push it to the full board for a first read?
For me, it's no.
I'm a yes.
I'm a yes. Okay, next on the agenda is policy 0160, meeting bylaws. Okay. Okay. Now, on this one, I like the wording the administration used in their suggestion, which was the first line being, the agenda for each meeting stating the business of the meeting shall be prepared by the board president, the superintendent, and the board clerk.
Okay.
And then I would like the vice president of the board and the deputy superintendent will be invited to participate or shall be invited to participate. And then everything else was good.
So the deputy superintendent and the vice president must participate, or is it may participate? I'm just asking for clarity.
I believe they should always be invited. But, yeah,
No, I'm just asking.
yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, so with this over here, the verbiage over here with be invited. So they're required to be there, or there are other official duties. If they cannot participate, it's still fine that just the superintendent is there. And then when it says every effort shall be made to collaborate, what does that hold you to? Like legally, what does that mean? Every effort, so we have to, I don't know, cancel their appointments or, and then there's also a blurb at the end that I have a question about, which you want to answer the first one, and we'll talk.
Okay, Vic?
So I looked at this over and over because one of my biggest issues I have right now currently is that there is tension. So right now, every effort to me is an invitation, setting a time, and having that discussion. If they can't come to meet at the same time, then at that time, I can be there in her place and act as her. So there is some collaboration with someone else on the board before the agenda goes out.
Is it possible, if you can't meet in person, to do it by Zoom or other virtual format?
That's written in there, because I would be there at every meeting by Zoom. The problem for me is if it's smack dab in the middle of the day, then I have to have my laptop in my store, which is open to the public, obviously. That's why I kind of preferred a little bit earlier meeting, but if we can't get that, I will be at every meeting via Zoom. And, but like I say, if it's in the middle of the day, it's difficult for me to do two things at once, wait on customers and pay attention to a meeting. That's why I want Victoria to be able to be at these meetings.
Well, the vice president serves in the stead of the vice president serves in the stead of the president when the president can't be there. That's basically in the law.
Can I just, so before this came about, I just want to be very open and transparent. I did request to be at agenda setting meetings and it was afforded to me. I was allowed to be there for the agenda meetings that we did have. So it's not a far reach because essentially there was no issue with me going in the first place. I think this just clarifies we can defer to policy if there's ever a question.
Sure. And the same thing with the deputy superintendent.
My only concern was, the every effort shall be made. I just want to make sure that's not saying if you're not there, you're in violation of this policy, and this is something now that we're going to go ahead when it comes time for evaluations. You're supposed to be there and you weren't there this day. That's my fear with that. And then at the end, there's when it comes to voting of to fill a vacancy seat. It says majority of the vote of the remaining members. If this is a 9-member board, shouldn't it be always treated as a 9-member board, whether, because like last year it happened, 4 members resigned, and we still operated like we needed all 5 votes to do anything. That's the way we were operating. Is there?
The exceptions are the supermajority voting requirements. And also, I added, which you probably don't have there, but I added that there is a specific difference with small city school districts from other school districts, where if there is a vacancy on the board, a majority of the remaining members of the board can appoint.
Okay.
And that doesn't apply to Central, Union Free, or other school districts, only small city school districts.
Okay, because I don't think we operated that way last year. We needed all 5, so, that's the way we're operating.
Well, that's fine, because you had 5 left. You're lucky, but if you had a majority of the 5, it would have worked as well. That's all I'm saying.
All right, thank you.
And that's an anomaly. It's just different than any other part of the law.
Okay, so are we going?
So point of order, I just need to be clarified, so the current policy is up on board docs, where are we going with that?
Okay,
So I do have what Margot sent, so I can go off that one, but I know you read something, Ms. Bella, so
exactly. I like the administration's first lines. The administration sent their suggestions, and the first line, the way they worded it.
how I have it from the administration, is the vice president of the Board of Education and the deputy superintendent may be invited to participate. The
Okay,
agenda shall accompany the notice, that's how I'm reading it.
okay.
Should that word switch to will? Will be invited? Because if you hear may, like they may or they may not.
Yeah.
So
Will
will,
be invited. That doesn't mean you have to attend, though.
correct.
I'm sorry, I have 3 different versions I'm looking at. I don't know if any of those are the one you just read, so I just want to make sure I'm really clear, because between concussions and chemicals, I'm not good at holding in information, so. Is that an email that went out earlier that you can give me a time on or something, or that one I haven't seen?
In your defense, there was a lot of threads on that email.
Well, that's why, yeah, I want to figure out which version, because they're all sound like kind of close, but I'm looking at Margot's, and then I'm looking at an adjusted one from last night.
It just says it's prepared by the board president, the superintendent, and the clerk. Okay? The vice president of the board and deputy will be invited to participate.
You gotta turn on your mic. So the agenda, it starts out 0166. The agenda for each meeting stating the business of the meeting shall be prepared by the board president, the board vice president. Not that?
No,
Okay, go ahead.
it's the administration suggestions, it says, "The agenda for each meeting stating the business of the meeting shall be prepared by the board president, superintendent of schools, and the clerk of the board. The vice president of the Board of Education and deputy superintendent will be invited to participate."
It doesn't say they have to. It doesn't say that they have to be there, but they're invited to come.
Right.
Got it, and then you're keeping in the paragraph that tells every effort shall be made to collaborate, that paragraph, we'll keep it in there.
Right.
Okay, and then Margot suggested changing the shalls to wills, are we gonna do that also?
Because that's grammatically correct.
Like all these?
Yes, it has to be will.
Yes.
So just, Victoria, I think do you know which email, around what time, or who sent it?
Yeah,
Which
so
one it is? You're saying this might be an Onyx one?
it was Onyx that sent it, so it,
Mr. McCoy, I think you might have sent it around.
it was sent on December 3rd. December 4th. No, it says, I have December 3rd. Nope. I'm lying to all of you. It was December 4th, Margot's correct, at 3:44 PM. Onyx. Yes, you were right. There's about 20 threads, yeah. If you click the name, it'll pop down the time.
So are we moving this forward, Ray?
May I also suggest that we change the number and make it consistent with your current code, your current policy manual, so that there are not two separate?
Please.
Thank you.
Yes.
So yes, I would like to move it forward.
I'll say yes, I can't find it, but when the agenda comes out, it'll be there and I can read it again, so.
Okay. Thank you, and I'm a yes. Okay. And last one is, on the agenda is policy 2320, special meetings. Where's mine?
Ray, check your email because I tried to forward it. I'm hoping it didn't forward the whole thread, but I just forwarded it to you.
Here it is. Okay, so basically with the special meetings, policy 2320, all we did was add in a definition of a special meeting, so they're limited, they're of an emergency status, they just cannot wait till the next regular meeting, something like a roof collapse, a water main break, something serious.
Not every special meeting is an emergency meeting. There are emergency meetings, but sometimes there are other reasons to have a special meeting. It may not be an emergency, but it may be something that needs to be addressed more, quickly. So, I can't call everything an emergency, that's all.
Oh, okay, so, yes, that's fine, but,
There's an emergency meeting too, which is a kind of special meeting.
right. But I just don't want to get to, like, in June, we had 2 meetings on the weekend, and they were basically 50 or so items on each one, and it was a regular meeting agenda. And I don't think that's proper, I don't think it's ethical, I don't think it's fair to the public. So that's why I want them, because there's less notice with a special meeting and all of that.
You want it circumscribed.
Exactly.
You don't want it to be only in an emergency because that will
Okay.
tie your hands.
Okay, so I get that, that's good, thank you.
Christie?
Ray?
Is the way this is edited, and I guess I'm going by the copy you massaged, Margot, that's the last one I think I see, is this consistent with already what's in open meetings law, or there's some substance changes in here that are going to change what's already in the open meetings law? Because it already says in the open meetings law, the purpose of special meetings is this, that they
Right.
cannot wait until the next regular scheduled meeting.
Right, and it's for a specific purpose. It can't just be called for some nebulous, thought.
So how does this new verbiage differ from what's already in the
I think
open
that's
meetings
what
law?
it basically says. I don't have it in front of me.
What, the opens meeting law?
Thanks.
Got it, okay.
Yeah, it says, not regularly scheduled, and it sounds like this came from something that had been an open meetings law piece. Usually held to conduct business that can't wait. That doesn't mean it's an emergency, but it needs to be done sooner. That's all I'm saying, that's what it says. Specific need beyond the regular schedule, not part of the routine. You can say that, you don't really need that. Public body might call a special meeting to address, okay, that's fine. To avoid a possible violation, care must be taken that special board meetings do not usurp the place of regularly scheduled board meetings. That's fine as well. You really don't want it to do that. And if it's not urgent and could reasonably be addressed during a regular meeting, it must wait till the regular meeting. And that's going to be a subjective decision. So, but that's not inconsistent with the open meetings law.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, so are we moving this forward?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so, do we need a motion?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I do have a question. I know we're currently undergoing policy reviews by NISBA, and that's usually what these meetings are held to do, is to, look to see the policy changes and certify those. Do we have any of those for this meeting planned at all, or?
Well, mostly what we were focused on for this particular, oh, go ahead.
I think Matthew had said, you had told us what they had gotten through. Correct? So those did not need to be reviewed. They're not complete, they're not done going through all of our policies and confirming them.
Yeah, we're up to the 2000s, the 1000s and zeros.
Matthew?
The School Boards Association has reviewed, and the Board of Education in Newburgh has adopted the zeros and the ones. I have sent to the committee the 2000s that have been reviewed by the School Board Association along with the school attorney. So those are ready to be reviewed by the policy committee.
Those are ready for today.
I had sent those to Ms. Bello, and whenever you guys want to talk about them, they're ready to be discussed, if the committee chooses.
But that's not today because. Okay. Well, I mean, there's a lot of policy.
Please turn your mic on.
There's a lot of policies that are being reviewed, and it takes time to go through all of them. And we're paying money to do this. I think we should have, we have an hour for these meetings. We're only 32 minutes through. We have time to look at some of those policies. I think that would have been the better course of action rather than just these, the actual business that we're supposed to be doing.
Victoria?
Then, again, I ask for some courtesy here because myself and Christine started this year. If you wanted to suggest that, I suggest you suggest it before we come to this conclusion, because there was an email sent out and asked if anybody else wanted to speak about anything. So now you're aware of what has to be done and we can move forward with it. I did say in the email that I know we're going to meet quite often. So I mean, again, this wasn't any other reason except we wanted to talk about these. So if there are ones that we need to review, we will review them. But we can all be in that conversation. I don't think it just has to come from Christine.
No, it doesn't have to come from Christine. It comes from the district because those aren't our policies to bring forward. These are ones that we are paying to have done. This is my first policy meeting too. I've never been on policy before. So if that's the business of the district, that's the stuff that we should have been doing here. Not to say there can't be other things. Those aren't my items to go, oh yeah, by the way, we should be doing those because this is stuff the district's supposed to be bringing to the table here.
Okay, so I hear you, but
Well, the reason why what I was more focused on, Ray, was local policy that affects our board. I want our board to function better than it has been. And that's why I just focused on these. Okay, but we will, I mean, we're just getting started. So Matthew did send me an entire file of the ones that have been reviewed by NISBA, and we'll take them a chunk at a time and put them forward for future policy meetings.
Yeah, I included everybody on the policy committee, so everybody got that.
Okay, I don't recall seeing it, but all right.
And may I say something else? Sometimes, other than the general review that we're doing, the update of all of the policies, there are new policies that must be, approved because the laws have changed or something is, different. And it may not be in the 2000s, but we have to also consider that when we move forward for the policy meeting.
Okay. All right, can I have a motion to adjourn? So moved. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
yes.
Yes.